Here's some advice for you. If you're going to cross a deep wash that's flooded, try a Toyota 4Runner, not a Toyota Corolla. Case in point, not a good idea. Oh, oh. Well, he had a bumper, not anymore. I stated in the previous clip, if you're going to cross a flooded wash, get a Toyota 4Runner, not a Toyota Corolla. Actually, it was a Toyota Yaris, but who's counting? So let's see what we have behind the door here. A 2021 Toyota 4Runner TRD. And tomorrow when we cross that wash again, we'll do far better than we did in that Mazda CX-9 we were driving. And far better than that Toyota Yaris, that's for sure. The base price of a two-wheel drive 4Runner runs around 35 grand, but this one has the TRD Pro package. That means it has all the goodies ready for off-road use. Giant wheels, bigger tires, skid plates, roof rack for carrying more gear. Heavy-duty skid plates under there somewhere, but I'm not going to crawl underneath this hot pavement to look. So here's the price, with some minor options. And the total tab. And last week we also drove the 2021 Toyota Land Cruiser, the king of all off-roads. We'll have a link for that video at the end of this video. Just go to the end, click and watch. And we also tested the Toyota Tacoma with the 6-speed manual transmission. We'll have a link for that video along with the Land Cruiser as well. So you have 3 videos to watch instead of 1. What a deal. One of the first things I want to do when I get a vehicle, especially an SUV, is to check and make sure there's a spare tire. Yep, it's under there. If you get it flat, you're going to have to crawl underneath and get yourself dirty, but it's all part of the 4-wheel driving experience, right? And the second thing we do is take the headlights out in the dark and see how they perform. We'll do that right now. Alright, it's dark enough. Let's see what these headlights do. And here we have the low beams on a building 100 feet away. Very bright, but the height isn't very high, but on the low side. Unusual considering this vehicle is raised quite a bit. The brights are definitely very easy to see, but again, lower than I would expect. Got some night action going on here. Somebody probably stole their donuts. And here's what the rear view camera looks like in the dark. A bit on the grainy side, but it's pretty dark back there. Seeing a lot more than I expected. And here we have the high beams on a fence 80 yards away, building behind it 130 yards away, which we cannot see. Doesn't go high enough. Low beam almost reaches out to the gate. These aren't bad headlights. They have lots of illumination, but they're just a bit lower than I would like. On backcountry roads, you'll have to keep your brights on as much as possible. I've said this before in all my videos. Technically, this vehicle is a bit on the outdated side. I think the last update was around 2009 for the vehicle. Under the hood, we get a 4.0 liter V6, putting out 270 horsepower. Torque output 278 pounds-feet at 4,600 RPM. Oh, I'm sorry, 4,400 RPM. Let's be technically correct. And no, this is not a modern power plant, several decades old, but it's super reliable. Change the oil regularly, you get about 250,000 to 300,000 miles off these. Like many other old designs, 16 miles to the gallon in the city, 19 on the highway is the claim. And while more modern SUVs are using transmissions with 10, 8, 7, or 6 speeds, this is an old-fashioned 5-speed, but again, it's indestructible. I don't think I've ever seen one that needed repaired. That's why you want when you're going off-road, something that's reliable. In four-wheel drive high, four-wheel drive low, two-wheel drive, you don't choose it by pushing an electronic button. You get your fist in there and crunch it manually, like the good old days, the way it was meant to be. Since we're in the cabin, let's take a closer look. Hey, for your money you get TRD Pro rubber floor mats. There's lots of room in the glove box if you take the owner's manual book out. I'm told there is a third row seating option, but I've never seen one. But there if you want it anyway. This one doesn't have it, of course. There's nothing modern about the interior here, but I have no complaints. The gauge cluster is very good looking and gives lots of useful information. That's the positive news. On the negative side, on past 4Runners, I've noticed there's a lot of glare reflecting off the panel from the sun at certain times of the day. Haven't seen it yet, but being a Toyota, it's a trait of theirs. I'll bet we'll see it before this video is over. Well, we'll see. The climate controls are very easy to use. And giant, large dials. Handy if you're wearing gloves. Extra large push buttons over here. And with this control, you can raise or lower the rear window. As for myself, I really don't like the idea of lowering the rear window. Not unless I want to suck in exhaust fumes and die from carbon monoxide poisoning, but that option is there if you want it. Alright, maybe I'm exaggerating a bit, but if you do lower the rear window, make sure you lower all the windows so you get airflow. According to the Toyota spec sheet, the 4Runner has 9.6 inches of ground clearance. It didn't specify if that was the standard 4x4 4Runner or the TRD Pro with these bigger wheels, but either way, that's a lot of clearance. About the same as the Toyota Land Cruiser with a shorter wheelbase, so off-road ability is definitely there. There is one thing I do not like about the 4Runner. A lot of them have this phony hood scoop. What's the point? It's fake. All it does is create wind noise on the freeway. It really should go away. And be advised, this roof rack makes a lot of wind noise on the freeway too. If you're not going to put gear on it, good idea to take it off. First half of the video, show and tell, is over. Second half, we're going to take this out and do some driving on the street and then do some driving off-road, which is what it was made for. The power steering on the 4Runner is very vague, has no feel or feedback. If this was on a passenger car, I would give it total thumbs down, but on a truck-like vehicle, where you're doing off-road, this is the type of power steering we want. When you're hitting rocks and ruts out in the dirt, you don't want to fight the steering wheel. You don't want all that stuff coming up to you. So for an off-road vehicle, this is the type of power steering I would like, and definitely suitable for what this vehicle was designed for. So no complaints. This heavy-duty suspension does a great job of absorbing impacts, but then again, you have these giant wheels and tires which bounce around a bit on impact. So when you're driving on the street, you get different results. So let's take some speed humps at 20 miles per hour and see what happens. As we do in all of my videos, here comes speed bump number 1. Pretty smooth. I can hear the wheels bouncing around, but I don't feel it. That was a second bump. This Jeep Fiat would get out of my way. Here's a nasty bump. Didn't feel too much. Lady, you're driving a Fiat. It's not a Jeep. Well, the problem here, they closed the public road because of construction, and everybody's driving on this private property here. So let's go to the other side of the complex and take the super bad, nasty bump. I really use this one. Huh, not bad at all. I'm very impressed with the suspension. But that's what we're paying for, right? If you're going to drive fast on the street, you don't want to take corners too quick. There is a bit of body lean on this vehicle, like so. Yeah. Spinning the tires. When you have a vehicle that's designed for off-road, it doesn't do that great on the street in some areas. A sports car handling, you're just not going to get that on this vehicle. But we don't need it, so it's no big deal. There's definitely one thing I would change on this vehicle, and that is the TRD performance exhaust you get with the TRD Pro package. It just sounds horrible. It sounds like an overrated vacuum cleaner with a couple holes punched in it. Especially when you're accelerating. And on the highway, just drones and drones and drones. For long trips, it's very annoying. This is my vehicle. I'd take it off and put a standard exhaust in, but that's me. Maybe you like the sound. Guess you'll find out if you buy one. I don't know if you can hear the exhaust sound when I have the camera and microphone inside the cabin, so let's try listening from the outside. I stated earlier there was no glare coming off this gauge cluster, which is true around 98% of the time, but at the moment, at the certain angle of the sun, at a certain time of the day, I can see I was proven wrong. This seems to be a common thread in Toyota Lexus products, and they really need to pay more attention. Oh, the glare went away. Good. Alright, the glare went away, but seriously, Toyota and Lexus, this is a common problem on your vehicles, and you need to do something about it. Somebody's not paying attention. Just a couple notes here. 13.9 mpg in super heavy city traffic is what I've been getting. Number 2, this is early morning. It's very hot outside, 100 degrees. We'll be about 114 by lunchtime. And I'm mentioning that because this is an excellent air conditioning system. Very, very effective. Very, very cold. No complaints about this at all. Just too bad it comes with heated seats, but not air-conditioned seats. Guess you can't have everything. Actually, I do have one serious complaint about the cabin, or should I say with the sun visors in the cabin. Amazingly, they do not slide back and forth to block out the sun's view from the side. Instead, you get this idiotic, asinine, stupid little flap that comes out, which does absolutely nothing. Yesterday it was 114 degrees in the afternoon, and the side of my face got baked like a potato. This is idiotic and just stupid. Now, I'm not trying to pick on Toyota here. Actually, there are many other manufacturers that use this goofy setup. In fact, I just moved from the Toyota 4Runner, and now I'm sitting in a Mazda CX-9 that I'm also driving this week. And look at here. The same thing. Sorry guys, I just don't get the thinking here. Someday I'd like to meet the designers of this monstrosity and have them explain why they think this is a good idea. I bet their answer would be something like this. With a full tank of gas and a driver, this vehicle weighs approximately 5,000 pounds, and with this antique engine and 5-speed automatic transmission, 0 to 60 times on this are not the quickest you'll ever see. Even though it's more than adequate for off-roading like it was designed for. On the street, you have to put your foot down on the gas pedal to get any steam out of this combination. So let's do a 0 to 60 run. Almost ran out of room. Nice brakes, by the way. We're going to take a highway trip from an elevation of around 1,300 feet to around 5,700 feet. So naturally, since we're climbing, the fuel economy is not going to be the best it could be. Plus, with the roof rack on top of the vehicle, it's fighting a bunch of air too. Should be interesting to see what the final number is. Alright, change in plan. We're not going to 5,500 feet elevation. We're more around 4,000 feet. And thus we got 16.3 mpg on the freeway, averaging 64 miles per hour. Instead of going through the high elevation forest, we're going down the lowlands, taking a shortcut. And we're well equipped. The big tires, the four-wheel drive system here with low range. And up here we have a locking differential button, the multi-terrain knob for sand, mud, snow. You have different choices here. And to the left of that we have crawl control. We're creeping down steep downgrades. There are actually two choices you have with the 4Runner. Number one, you have a part-time four-wheel drive system, as we have here. You can tell because it has a shift lever. And some 4Runners, not too many though, come with a full-time four-wheel drive system. Instead of a shift stick, you get a knob to choose your range. Don't see too many of those. The advantage of a full-time four-wheel drive is you can have four-wheel drive on pavement. On this, you can engage the four-wheel drive on pavement. Not good for it. You have to switch to two-wheel drive if you're driving on city streets. This is a nasty washboard road. Lots of ripples, but the suspension is doing a pretty good job of absorbing the impacts. And that's what we're paying for with the TRD package. And I think we're getting our money's worth. And none of the vibrations or impacts are finding the way to the steering wheel feel, which is why vague steering works great off-road, even if not on the city streets and pavement. Then we've got a lot of slick gravel on this road and a big drop if you don't have any traction. Good thing we got some good tires here. Steak dinner. And Elsie, say hi to YouTube. Oh, this is a pretty nasty road to get up here, but no problem for this vehicle. It's definitely a top-of-the-line off-roader. Sort of a baby Land Cruiser, except it doesn't cost $100 grand like the Land Cruiser. You buy two Toyota 4Runners for what it costs for a Toyota Land Cruiser. His and hers. So what's my take on this Toyota 4Runner after a week of driving? Well, the simple fact is, if you're looking for a mid-sized, mid-priced SUV that's designed specifically to go off-road, there aren't too many choices. You have the Jeep Wrangler, they sell around 200,000 of those in the USA every year. You have this, they sell around 140,000 every year. And the only real competition is the Ford Bronco, and just aren't too many out yet. We don't know how it's going to work. The 4Runner isn't cheap to buy, and it drinks a lot of fuel, as most of these type of vehicles do, but if you're looking for a very good, reliable, and durable SUV to go out in the sticks, this is the one you need. Here's some other off-road Toyotas we've driven lately. Just click on the link and watch.